mix up and do the NFC North now. The first team I want to talk about is the Chicago Bears, and perhaps they're the sleeper team on the rise. The sleeper team on the rise when looking at this team. Okay, so, of course, their now quarterback is Mitch Trubisky. They're going to have him being the full-time starter now instead of, competing with Mike Glennon like they did last year. And there is some good hope to have with him. I do think he is a very, very good quarterback, just very talented all around. But now he's got some pieces to work with, so there's some good hope for him that he'll turn out to be a much better quarterback than he was last season. I think he had kind of the standard rookie season, but now he's got more talent, another year in experience, a new offensive coordinator. Now this is the time to explode. And at running back, you still have Jordan Howard, who is still, I think, one of the top 5 backs in the NFL. And you have Tariq Coleman as your third down back, who I thought was very, very, very underused. I thought he was a very good running back for Chicago. I thought he would be very dangerous, but he was very underused. And the wide receiver core did get a nice makeover. They have a new number 1 wide receiver in Allen Robinson. And this is their first time really having a number 1 wide receiver since getting Brandon Marshall in a trade with the Dolphins. And at number 2, they brought in another new wide receiver in Taylor Gabriel, who's expected to be the number 2. And number 3 could be Anthony Miller, who they drafted in the second round. You got some other guys they do want to try to throw in there. They got Benny Fowler, who's been with the Broncos for the past couple seasons. They're still praying that Kevin White will turn out to be good, but let's see if he can stay off the trainer's table. And of course, at tight end, they signed Trey Burton and brought in Deion Sims. Overall, this is a very, very much on the rise weapons, especially looking at the offense. They're hoping that now that they have their quarterback, their first real, perhaps legitimate, good quarterback, they can now start building and getting this team. They can start building and getting Trubisky really to develop. Because when building their offense, you need the quarterback, and you need to build around him. You need to take these certain. Now you have. It's hard for the stumbles. Now that you have your quarterback, they're starting to build around him. They do have some good players that they can throw in. They got a nice possession receiver, some deep threats, slot receiver, etc. And it could be definitely a team that will be on the rise. I do see him. This is one of the main reasons why I consider them. I very much do consider them as a sleeper team. Of course, looking at the offensive line, it's pretty well built. You're probably going to have Whitehair, Kyle Long, and James Daniels making the interior. There might be some switches a little bit, probably to see who play where. And of course, the tackles. I believe it's Bobby Massey and one other guy that currently slips in mind. I'm pretty sure. I think it's Charles Leno, right? Bears fans. I'm pretty sure it's Leno. And overall, the offense fills the mantra of what's going to be. It's going to be a sleeper team, and that's not always a bad thing. It's definitely going to be a team that will, in many, many games, catch teams off guard, beat the surprise team. And their defense is also very similar. Edge rushers, of course, you have Akeem Nicks, who's been an overall stud for the team. You got Eddie Goldman, too. Leonard Floyd, who's going to be the main edge rusher for the team. And they got a couple other players they do want to rotate every now and then. John Jenkins. They brought in Aaron Lynch. They have Jonathan Bullard. They drafted Kylie Fitz. They got some guys that they want to rotate. And there's definitely some talent along that team to really improve it and get back to that Bears defense. And a linebacking core, ooh boy, this is a linebacking core I definitely want to see develop. Not only do they have Danny Trevathan, but they drafted one of my favorite defensive players in the draft, Roquan Smith. They've been searching for a Brian Urlacher replacement for a while. Well, he's not the same size and overall strength as Urlacher. He definitely has the skill and talent, and I think the meanness to be the middle linebacker for the Bears. The Bears have had good linebackers for quite a while, and definitely I can see Roquan Smith being yet another dangerous linebacker for the team. And looking at the secondary, they kept Kyle Fuller after having a breakout season, so good for them. They also have Prince Kumagura and Marcus Cooper slated there too. They got some other players that they will probably try out. And their safeties, Eddie Jackson really stepped up for them, so he's probably going to be the full-time starter for them. And I got a couple other guys I want to try. I think it's going to be Adrian Amos. That will most likely be the other starter next to Eddie Jackson. And overall, this is it's a decent put-together team. Maybe they want to try finding maybe another better corner or two for that secondary. But overall, it's a very good defense. It's a very much a sleeper defense. And I definitely could see this being maybe around the middle in some areas. But overall, I do like how this team's going to function. I do like how this team can be when the time comes. When the time comes. Because this team, when you look at it, it's very hard to see how this team could probably go, where this team could go, how well they can do, etc. Because they have a lot of young players. They don't even have some good cornerstones, but again, they just have a lot of young players. They do have some players that they brought in who are coming off injury, and they're hoping that they can still play to the same level as they have in previous years. And they do have some players that, they're really hoping that can just step in now. If a lot of things go right, say Mitch Trubisky takes that big leap and becomes a top 10 quarterback. Say Allen Robinson returns to that 2015 form that impressed a lot of people. Say that defense steps up. Say the offensive line is not as big as a problem. If a lot of things do go well, they will very much be the surprise team of the NFC, not just the NFC North. And looking at their schedule, it is a bit tough. They do have to play the NFC East, so of course playing the Patriots, and of course they're playing against the very, very tough NFC North, playing against the Vikings and the Packers, and throw the Lions, and they also have to play the Rams. And it's a very tough team. They do have to play the Packers first. I think I believe that is a Sunday night game. Yeah, it's Sunday night game. Aaron Rodgers' return, and I think if they can somehow beat the Packers, if there's ever a chance that they can beat the Packers, then there will be hope for this team, and they could very much well not only make the playoffs, but perhaps be a perennial Super Bowl contender. But like I said, this team is very much a sleeper team. You don't know what it's going to be like, but you still would love to keep an eye on them. You still love to be able to go, okay, we see you, we notice you. I don't think they'll be a walkover team. I don't see this team really going in that double-digit loss category. I don't see that team really struggling that much. I see this team, when they get the favorable matchups, playing against the Dolphins, the Bills, the Jets, hell, I think even the Giants, you could probably argue, and even the Cardinals and Buccaneers, those are teams that they can take advantage of and get some good and respectable wins. But when they have to go against the more challenging teams, this is where all the young players, everything they have done, this entire team that they built must step up and prove it. They must learn how to play above their competition, must learn how to not go in the game as the underdog, but go in there as being their equal or better. I don't see this team Probably finish in 4th place. I think they'll probably trade it off with the Lions, maybe, depending on how they do in the division. But I can never. I don't see this team really being a team that they'll be counting out as soon as the time starts. I can probably see them being maybe at worst maybe 7. I'm gonna say 7-9. The winning season may or may not happen, but it's definitely a sleeper team, and probably next year with a couple I'll say polishes, when they polish certain positions, say the offensive line and the secondary, then that's a team that will not only be on the rise but a real legitimate threat. Again, this is not a perfect team. This is a team that's definitely improved, but like I said, it just needs a few polishes. And you just need to get some shoe polish and just kind of rub out in those certain areas. Like I said, the offensive line could definitely use it, as well as the secondary. The two positions I think that could definitely use some polishes on this team. And of course, the schedule is definitely tough. You got a lot of playoff teams and perennial playoff teams, and if they can match up well and do well against these teams, then then I would not be shocked at all that they make the playoffs.